Hello and welcome to my first YouTube live stream class. My name is Jeff Cote and I am the Occidental Taoist. For those of you joining me from my usually regular scheduled classes in Harvard or Clinton or Berlin or Lancaster, or even those of you who have been doing Qigong with me in Townsend or Shirley and you've decided to join me for Tai Chi, welcome to Wuxing Long Pai Tai Chi. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice simple warm-up. We're going to do our usual class warm-up that I do in my Harvard class every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Because this was designed and created specifically for you guys that come to my COA classes. However, I wanted to leave it available for anybody to be able to watch. These classes will be streamed free and live every Tuesday and Thursday. And I encourage you to just come and join me for some healthy Tai Chi. So because I don't know exactly what level of skill levels that I'm going to be having with me today, I'm going to start from the very beginning, assuming that people don't really know that much at all. If you've been following along on my lunchtime lessons in Qigong at noon, Monday through Friday, some of this is going to look familiar. Some of it will be new. I'm going to have to modify some of the warm-up simply because I don't have a lot of room and it's not warm enough to go outside yet. But as soon as it starts warming up or I get a nice day and it's not raining, I'm going to film these outside so we get a little bit more room. Okay, so without any further delay, I guess we should get started. So what I want you to do is to get in a basic Zhuang stance, which is feet roughly shoulder width apart. Your body is going to be upright and relaxed. You want your hips soft and buoyant, your knees soft and buoyant. Okay, ideally, we want to get a feeling as if the tailbone is extending downward. So there's a weight hanging from the bottom of the tailbone, just pulling the spine open. The center line is upright and relaxed. We've got a nice plumb line from the Bai Hui point at the center of the head, right through the center line, all the way to the Hui Yin point in the pelvic floor, and that points right down between the feet. The weight in our feet should be in what's called the triangle of the foot. That's this load-bearing triangle here across the ball of the foot to the heel and back up. You can see it's basically triangular shaped, and we want our weight to be right in the middle. We don't want our weight more towards the ball. However, we do want to activate the energy of the lower leg through the ankle pressure. So what I want you to do is you stand here first to find this perfect spot. I want you to let your weight drift forward a little bit so it's a little bit more on the ball of the foot, then back to the heel, and then back into the middle. But I want you to activate, so you're activating the bubbling well point, which is that little hollow right below the ball of the foot. We place our tongue lightly on the roof of the mouth, central equilibrium. Now, one of the basic principles we want to activate here is 8 functional principles that all work together to create a cohesive whole. These basic principles are calm, relaxed, centered, grounded, whole, meaning we get a sense of wholeness, complete, which means we're not leaving any gaps in our awareness. Okay, inside to out, outside to in, top to bottom, front to back, left to right, all the tissues of the whole body and the mind and what the mind is engaged in. Okay. So it's whole and complete. And the last one is alive, which means it's activated, but it's lively. So everything can shift and move. Nothing is rigid or tight. We stay soft and supple. When these 8 principles are put together, they create a cohesive whole that is greater than the sum of their individual parts. They also assist each other. Okay, so we're going to work with that today. Again, we're going to place the tongue lightly on the roof of the mouth. Bring the hands in front of the lower dantian, which is just below the umbilicus. This is my umbilicus. It's about 1 hand span right below in the very center of the body. Place our hands right out in front. Take a deep breath in and just expand nice and slow first, getting a sense of the center or the dantian expanding outward and returning. So we inhale from the center, let it pass like our center itself is moving through us and moving us. And we expand. Notice my legs move, my arms move, everything moves, just expands and returns. On the inhale, it expands. On the exhale, it returns. And then we're going to move into a bouncing expansion. So we'll expand, and then we drop and let our legs kind of catch and bounce. We do these quite a few times, just loosening up the body. Now we're going to go from this bouncing expansion into a counter swing. So when we drop, one hand goes in front, one hand goes behind. The momentum pulls us back out, and then it goes the other way. Now, notice I get a little bit of movement here, but I'm trying not to turn because I don't want to twist my knees. I want to keep the hips square forward. There's going to be some movement, but I'm always extending from my center, my dantian, down through my feet into the ground. So I'm rooted and powerful. So most of the twist is happening between this lower dantian and the middle dantian in the center of the chest. So this nice twisting action along the mid-torso, loosening up the internal organs, circulating the daimai, which is the girdling vessel that surrounds the waist, and connecting the upper to the lower. And we do quite a few of these. Just stay with it. One of the keys you're trying to do is really pay attention to the inside of the body. We're trying to feel the center line and keeping it upright and strong. We're trying to also feel what are known as the right and left channels, which run from the bubbling well points in the feet, up either side of the leg, through the torso in the middle, into the arms and shoulders, and all the way to the lao gong points in the hands. So if I stand like this, they're like two columns that surround the center line. And I want to feel their relationship. They're going to get a twisting relationship around that center line that's anchored from here down. But eventually you'll start to feel each one has its own twist through this action. And that's part of what we're trying to pay attention to. Nice and relaxed, smooth, fluid motions. Nice and easy. And then from here, we're going to go into a column swing action where we go, instead of side to side, forward and back, we get a little more bounce again. Now first, I like to work palms up in the front, palms down and back in the back. And I'm going to work with that for a little bit, noticing those right and left channels. Now what you want to try to pay attention to is how the right and left channels can actually rotate. Like all the power of the legs here can rotate out as if I were going to turn my feet out, except that they're not turning, they're just generating a spiral force into the sacrum and low back. And that helps to drive the chi and the action right up into the arms. And that follows through into a spiral action. This will help you with some of the coiling that comes from the dragon coiling of that formless dragon system. So we've got this nice, consistent, smooth action. I'm also paying attention to this downward energy, the power of gravity and how it flows straight down through me as I do this. I want to let the weight from the shoulders go right down through the legs, create a buoyant reaction through the body that generates the force for the next press up, or helps to generate. I can let my arms come in the back, let them come up a little bit in the back to help stretch the shoulder. If you find that's uncomfortable in the anterior deltoid here, in the front of the shoulder, don't do that. Right? It may be that you're too tight in the shoulders to allow that, and that constant repetition of that pressure can create a little inflammatory response if you don't have good fluidity and pliability in the shoulders. Another thing I like to do when I come up is bend the tricep, get the elbows up, bend the elbow rather, and stretching out the tricep a little bit. It just ensures that I have full ranges of motion in everything. We go back, and then aside from palm up, we can go palm out here, where we rotate. We get a rotation through the shoulder, but it's smooth and relaxed. I'm not stiffening. Notice I don't lift my shoulders or prop in any way. It's nice and relaxed. If anything, I actually push my shoulder blades slightly down when my hands go up. It's a good policy to have. When your hands go up, shoulder blades go down. It will maximize the opening through here to relax the shoulders and have ultimately the neck and trapezius as well. Now, a lot of times in a lot of classes that you go to, you won't get very much warm up. And I believe that this is my personal philosophy is that's an error. You know, most students learn their habits by the classes they attend. When I first studied with my teachers, in fact, but Dr. Hua particularly, his primary focus was at the very beginning a tremendous amount of this Jiben Gong, or this body conditioning and body practice. All these practices that loosen the body were considered warm-ups, but they also help you identify the way the body moves, where things are tight. It helps you to develop that deep internal awareness. And when we rush through them and instead just move on to working with the form, form is wonderful. Tai Chi is fantastic as a system, and the form is fantastic for development of the Qi and the free flow of Qi, and even for awareness. But our bodies do need more motion for fitness as well as health. Fitness and health can be a balance. They don't have to be exclusive to each other. All this movement is really good for your lymph. You'll notice I'm alternating between palm up and palm out. And from here, we're going to go into the counter column swing, where I drop the energy down my center line, relax. I still borrow the bounce and switch where one hand goes front, one hand goes back. And again, I'm going to be palm up in the front. I'll move forward a little bit, hitting that screen. There we go. Notice I'm still rooting through my legs. You can be narrower if you like. If that's difficult on your knees or your legs, you can be narrower. You can also be loose. You can work on looseness. You can work on extension. You can work on those spiral rotations of the right and left. There is a lot to practice in these counter swing practices. You'll notice I'm occasionally twisting the palm out. And you'll notice that directs force, momentum, and energy differently than the palm up. Sometimes I'll cross this center line and curl just to stretch out that shoulder a little bit. So as I come up, I'm coming in and across. This brings the looseness into the shoulders a little bit more. Also activates in here. You'll find these obliques and the serratus and the abdominal muscles will work a little bit more. And they get to participate. Again, we're not using a lot of strength in any of this. We're using momentum and flow, but we're still activating and working with. It's very, very powerful and important. And same thing here. I can have this energy coming out. When I'm coming back, you'll notice I'm rotating back with the palm open. This really opens up the lung meridian, the pericardium meridian, and then the heart meridian under here. Go up a little higher, really working with the looseness of the shoulders. And again, I come back, stretching those triceps a little. And relax. I should have done a pretty good job of activating the whole body, activating the chi flow, getting the body relaxed and smooth. Now I'm going to take you through sort of a guided standing practice. Okay, I'm going to help you find the way that I experience this basic Wuji practice. So we start, I always place the tongue on the roof of the mouth, breathing in and out through the nose, breathing into my dantian, to and from here. Basic, good, natural breath. There's all sorts of other practices from reverse breathing and other forms of specialized breathing. We're not going to get into that today. We're just going to do a natural, relaxed breath. When you inhale, you should feel like your dantian expands. When you exhale, you should feel like it condenses. Okay. To do that, sometimes at the very beginning, I'll place my hands right on the dantian to remind myself that I'm doing everything from here. And I'm going to work on my posture. I'm going to do that slight slide forward or shifting forward onto the ball of my feet. Lifting up the heels a little bit just to feel that, and then moving back, lifting up the ball of the foot, just activating, and then spreading my toes out and letting them reach out and then relax down onto the ground. There'll be a natural grip. You don't have to squeeze with the feet, but if you reach out with all the toes, let them spread out and then naturally grip, there's a natural contraction that happens with the nature of the tissue, and it will tend to contract the energy towards the bubbling well points in the feet. Then I'm going to become active. I'm going to check the knees and ankles, making sure that they're active and dynamic, and then the hips. Now, one of the things I do when I do this process is I go through a whole sequence of checking things for my alignment. And I start with just working on basic balances, left leg versus right leg first. So as I stand, I've got my basic just upright Jian Zhuang from earlier. I'm going to feel which side might be pushing. So if I feel like I'm pushing from my left side or my right side a little stronger, I'm going to let it. I'm going to let it dissolve that energy. So like for right now, my left leg, no, it looks like my right, but it's my left. Leg pushes a little bit stronger. I let it push me over to the right, and then I relax back until I can dissolve that excess tension and excess force. And I start to identify where I'm generating them. Now, sometimes this stuff happens from structural patterns that we've developed from habit or old injuries. And they become like old friends, very familiar patterns. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm focusing on the waist, the lower dantian, the ball and socket joints in the hips, how they come up and attach to sort of that bowl of the pelvis that kind of connect right on in. And I'm trying to open up all the relationships there so that the hollow openness in the dantian and the pelvic and the whole pelvic region feels connected to and around, surrounding the bones of the legs as the ball and socket joints come in and connect all the way down to the feet. Both the yin channels that flow up the inside of the legs into the torso and on the front, and the yang channels that wrap around the torso and legs and come down the outside and back, and even outside front corner here. So the yin covers kind of from in here to the back corner. The yang covers from like right here all the way around to the tailbone and down all the way to the feet. And I'm just paying attention to their relationships and allowing them to equalize. Meanwhile, everything from here up, I'm just trying to keep a general center line relaxed for now. We'll get there. I'm creating my basic stance. I notice any place where I'm not having a good vertical relationship. My relationship to the ground through the torso, but particularly from the hips through the triangles of the feet, should be vertical. It should feel like it goes straight down and I'm not resisting. I'm not directing it in any way. One of the big processes that I see people do during this is they don't allow themselves to fold in here like they're going to sit down enough. And consequently, they end up like this and leaning back. You can see I'm kind of leaning backwards a little bit. So we want to take our hands right in this inguinal fold here, press in and fold like you're about to sit down, and then extend the head up and you'll see that gives you a nice straight up and down. So my plumb line should come right down the side, right through my feet. And I check this. Am I locking down in here? One of the things that happens too is most people interact with the ground with this pressure. It's like they're pushing against the ground harder than they need to. And that is part of what drives that energy up, and then they deflect backwards. Instead, we want to sink, get receptive from here down. Like your whole lower body is receiving the weight of your upper body and compressing like a spring. Just compressing down as you relax, and then all the excess energy just flows right through your feet, helping you to root into the ground. Now when I'm standing, once I'm satisfied with here down, the next thing I'll do is start paying attention to the rest. I'll include the middle dantian now and make sure that it is directly stacked over the lower dantian. Middle dantian is in the center of the chest, and it's like a hollow, empty, spherical space in there. It's not truly hollow, but there is a space in there that organs are in. And we want it to be stacked directly over this lower dantian so that it's not back, it's not forward, it's not collapsing, but it's not propped either. We want everything to be nice and relaxed. Once we have that, we begin to get a good columnar feel to the body. The body feels like a column sitting on the powerful support of those legs that catch the weight in the bowl of the pelvis and compress into the spring of the legs. And the shoulders, if you look at the design of the shoulder, you get this collarbone and it attaches with that chromium here, which is part of the scapula. Kind of sits on top so that your shoulders kind of sit on top of your rib cage in the same way shoulder pads would sit on top of your shoulders. But most people don't do that. They prop them up, they hold them, got them forward, they're controlled forward, or they're pulled back from various tensions. There's a lot of complex muscle interactions in here, and tendinous muscle channels and chi relationships. There's a ton of chi relationships from the chest, upper back, shoulders that all interact. And we want to sort of equalize them all. So what I'll do is I'll roll them forward, roll them back, lift them up, drop them down, roll them up and down a few times just to make sure they're loose. And then I'm going to just lift them straight up and drop them. So they drop straight down. Now, if you're nice and relaxed, your hands will naturally come to right along the sides of your legs, not in front. If you're like this, you're tight here and pulling forward. Right? It may be that you're weak in the back, or it may be that you're too tight in the pectoralis minor. It doesn't matter. We're going to work on opening that up and bringing the arms down, letting it open up and bring down. Then we're going to not prop the chest. We want to empty the energy of the chest so that it's not pushed and tight and expansive, but it sinks and is supported. At the same time, we don't want to collapse so much that we round forward. Okay. Once we have that, we make sure we stack the upper dantian, which is in the center of the head between the mid-eyebrow point and the jade pillow back here, base of the occiput. And it's, if I drew, intersecting lines, it'd be right in the middle of the head, and that should be directly over the middle dantian, which is directly over the lower dantian, connecting the bai hui point straight down through to the hui yin point in the pelvic floor, or the perineum. Once we have that, I'm going to reach out just a little and forward, as though I'm going to hold a ball with my palms. And then I'm going to lift up and bend the elbows out just a little bit, getting a little space under here. But what I don't want to do is lift with my arms and shoulders, or lift way out here like I'm holding my arms way out here. My elbows are relaxed. There's a nice relaxed feeling. I want to feel like my arm, the weight of my arms are helping to pull my shoulders down. Right? And my hands can then be at the level of the chest. Now I just open up the inside of this circle so you can see, so it's not like this, and I'm not squeezed in. I see people standing like this sometimes where their elbows are really close. And you can see that's kind of, I'm jammed up and tight. I also see people like this, really far out, and you can see that that creates a lot of tension through here. We want to find that perfect middle ground, right, where it's open. Got a nice openness under here, as though a balloon is inflated beneath my arms, but I'm relaxing them down. I'm going to turn my palms slightly inward so that the palms are still connected to each other energetically. You can feel that connection between them, but you can also feel the connection to the middle dantian in the center of the chest. So what I want you to do to find that is to notice the connection of the palm of the chi. If you don't worry about it, just keep working with it. You'll eventually feel it. You're trying to notice if you feel any difference when your hands go in and out, if you can feel that subtle pressure on the palms. Now you've got contact. Turn your hands all the way until you lose contact. Now you don't feel that contact anymore, right? Now you can try to feel the contact with the Lao Gong pointer, the center of the palm, with the center of the middle of the chest. Right? But we want to have both. So we're going to turn it back and get contact with the palms again. And then turn it back in. So now I've got both. And it almost feels like the 2 points of the Lao Gong, the Shin Chu point in the center of the chest, all make a triangle. And I'm going to make my spine long now, get a real sense of being kind of connected to the heavens through this Bai Hui point. But I'm not pushing up. It's just a gentle extension from my center all the way up. I'm being suspended by that, and everything else relaxes down. And we're going to hold this for a little while. Now, for many of you, you may find that this creates a challenge physically in some way. Either your shoulders get tense, or you can't handle the leg pressure, or it's uncomfortable in your back. Try not to just drop it and just let it go, because you're letting it go, the buildup of the chi and the changes you're trying to develop. Instead, I'm going to move over here a little bit so there's a little more contrast with the white line, so you can kind of see that a little bit, the contrast of the structure. That's a little better, I'm sure. Can you see that a little bit? All right. So once I'm here, in this position, if I find my shoulders are really tired, what I can do is just slowly lower them back down. I can bring them down in front of the lower dantian. Alternately, I can bring them all the way back into the back and place the back of the hands on the kidneys. And it'll help to open up the front of the shoulder a little bit as well. Put the palms out. So you can see here. Just trying to show you what my hands are doing back there. Okay? That's one of the things you can do if your arms start to get really tired and you don't want to lose the buildup of the chi. You'll notice I'm never in a rush to move or shift. Now, if your legs get tired, I recommend sinking and coming right back up, just getting a little bit of movement. You don't even have to go far. You can just, sometimes just an inch or two, just helping yourself get it, or just kind of shake the body really slowly and smoothly, just to let go of the holding tension. A lot of times this discomfort comes out of the stagnation we have in our qi or our shui or our blood. And so just making small movements can help you kind of unlock the habitual tension that builds that up. So I'm going to just let you focus internally for a little while. Since this is I don't know the level of practice of everybody. We've been standing a little while already while I explained all of this, so I won't have you go too long. But I want you just to kind of really quiet down. Now we're going to go in for a sort of internal emptiness, a non-doing, non-thinking, non-wording, inner silence. breathing nice and deep. Let your breath be part of this. You want to turn your eyes inward, learning to look at what you can't see. Turn your feeling awareness inward, feeling what you can't touch. And your ears listen outward, listening to what you can't hear, listening between all the sounds so that the mind gets quiet. And then we're going to slowly let our arms come down. We didn't go too long. As I said, I don't know how long and how many people are beginners. And I slowly like to build up. 15 to 20 minutes is what I consider to be an essential, basic daily practice of standing for a student. If you're really serious about this, half-hour minimum, hour is ideal in just standing. So you notice I bring my hands down in front of my dantian and then gather the chi. Nice deep breath. Down. Now to start transitioning into working with other things. I'm actually going to go into a practice called Dragon Rolling Pearl. So we're going to hold that ball again, bring it back up, like we're doing the Wuxing position. Now we're going to shift to one side so my weight is dominant on one side. I've got a sense of straight down that right channel all the way down to my foot. This is my right side. I know it looks like my left in the video, but you can choose. Mirror me is good. And once I'm here, I'm going to turn about 20 to 30 degrees to the right. And then I'm going to rotate this right hand, this back hand towards me and palm, fingers up, palm out. I've still got space here. I'm not jammed up. Everything's still open from the side. So you can see how it's still in front of me. It's not back here. It's still here, naturally in front of me. Okay. So here, I shift, I turn, I bring the right hand back, and I slide the left hand over so that it's right in front of the center of my chest. And now it makes it right in front of the center of the palm also. Now there's that triangle again. Here to here to here. I don't want to let this leg collapse. I keep it open, slightly rotated out, so I've got energy going straight down. Now here I should get a feeling of being receptive in this right leg. This whole right channel, even this right hand, is becoming receptive and moving in towards my center. The left side is expansive from the center out through the leg and hip, out through the chest and arm. So the left side is expansive, right side, this is my right, this is my left. My right side is receptive and compressive. My left side is expansive and yang, yin side, yang side. They're labels. Other systems call them different. They call the weighted leg the yang and the unweighted leg the yin. It's all about a matter of perspective. Yin and yang is all about relationship. There's absolutes do not exist. If you have just absolute yin, it doesn't exist because there's no yang counterpart. At least not in this reality. I still want to have that sense of expansiveness. The whole time I want to get a sense of my center expanding into my space, into the spherical space that I occupy, and activating my whole body. And I'm going to shift. When I shift and turn, I'm going to shift to the middle. My left hand is going to come up and in front of the above and in front of the center of my chest. My right hand is going to move down and below and underneath and in front of my lower dantian. So this is the middle position. And as I rotate this sphere, as you can see, this sphere rotated partially this way. This one kind of came back and towards me. This one came out and under. And then I go all the way across to the other side, turning and rotating this hand down and back. Again, it's still in front of me. It's not back here. I don't want to be like this. It's still in front of me. And out. Shift and turn. And this hand that's been below rotates out and up. I've got receptivity now on this left side receptivity moving in towards my dantian, in towards my middle dantian. And everything comes towards here. Everything from here to the outside goes out and down. See how it's open? Pants can sometimes hide that, make it look like it's going inward when it isn't. Keep aware. I'm rotating that hip gently outward and open. This outward and open. Got a nice feeling of verticality from the shoulder down this left channel all the way into the triangle of the foot, and ultimately activating into the bubbling well by the way I'm distributing weight. Not too far, I don't want to go too far forward, but not too far back either. I've got to be able to use the center of that triangle of the foot, acts like a fulcrum between the heel and the ball of the foot, and it allows you to kind of press down into that bubbling well to activate. If you practice, if you feel like that pressing with the left, you can feel you already generate energy just by extending that bubbling well to the ground. It pushes you a little bit. See how just that little bit is pushing my whole body, just a little. And usually when I practice, I'll do, like if I'm working with my classes, I'll do maybe 15 minutes in the Wu Ji, and then I'll do 5 minutes or so on each side here. And then we'll practice the rolling the pearl exercise. The rolling the pearl exercise is we basically transition between the two. So now we go back to the middle here and all the way over, rolling that sphere. Remember, keep this open, don't let it collapse. Keep the center line upright and relaxed. Still in front of the body, not back here. Now you'll notice in the hand position, I've got what's called a dragon claw, where the ring finger, I don't know if you can see it, the ring finger and middle finger are working together with the thumb, index finger and pinky are slightly extended. It's not accentuated enough that it's like this. It's not really pronounced, right? It's subtle. In fact, it's so soft that unless you're looking for it, it's hard to notice. Right? But what it does is it makes me very, very aware of my intention all the way through every finger and make sure that I'm using them appropriately, which activates the chi through all the channels. And then I coordinate with this with the breath, usually inhaling in one roll, and exhaling on the other. Now, one of the things I'm really paying attention to here and really trying to work for is that feeling of receptivity and expansion. And as one side expands, the other one receives and compresses, and they should match each other to create an overall balance. If I expand faster than I receive, then I push up on top of my tension here, and you can see I unroot myself a little bit, cutting off the chi right here. So what I want to do is make sure that this side gets receptive so that there's an exchange as I shift and turn. Yin and yang stay balanced. And close. Check it out for a second. Keep your eye on the time. Wow, I used a lot more time than I thought. I want to go through the rest of my warm-up. Since this is just the first one I've done it, well, it's not surprising when I first do this and first train things, I end up doing mostly just the warm-up and never really get to the Tai Chi on the very first class, so to speak. But that's okay. It's the way it worked. I mean, when I worked with Dr. Hua, I didn't start on the form for easily 3 months. All I did was this kind of stuff over and over, usually one thing at a time. One of the things Dr. Hua used to say to me all the time was, why do 2 things badly? Just work on one thing until you develop it. So one of the things I tell people in the practice here is if you've got something that you're working on or that you feel like you want to work on or you really like, work with it. Just work on that one thing. Even if all the things we did today, it's great, do the class, but when you practice, pick one thing, work on it. Then pick another thing and work on it. Eventually, you'll realize there's so many things, you never run out of stuff. And by the time you get through them all, you have kind of developed in a new way. And when you look at something you looked at before, all of a sudden you're seeing it much deeper and much better. So let's go through the rest of the joint loosening exercises, starting with the hands, wrists, and fingers. We're just going to roll the fingers in. Now, I'm trying to be very precise and conscious about every single movement. It's never just sort of kind of not paying attention. It's always with the fullness of my awareness energy. I'm also always connecting what I'm doing with my fingers to the power of my legs, so that if I were going like this, I could push or pull with the whole body, even though it looks like mostly just my fingers move. I'm pressing with the legs, receiving with the legs. This way you're connecting even the small motions into a whole body action and in the other direction. And then I add in the elbows. And then the other way. And then the shoulders. For the shoulders, we bring the fingertips together, hands go up, shoulder blades go down. Down to the sides. And reverse. When I come up, fingertips face each other, palms out. It's like I'm running my palms right down a silk curtain. Just rolling them down. Open. This time the fingertips come together, shoulder blades down. And I come out this way. The change enables you to work different parts of the shoulder, accessing the chi in different tendinal muscle channels. All alternating between the palms out and fingertips together. And open the chest. Notice the shoulder blades are down. Bring the shoulder blades together in the back. And when I come back, I'm going to press this backwards, open up the back, patting the shoulders. And with an exhale, shaking out your arms, letting them be loose. Next, we're going to do a trunk twist. I want you to widen your feet just a little bit, sink down into your legs. We're going to shift and turn, keeping that leg open as we turn, because that'll start to open up the torso into the leg. So we shift and turn from the center. I'm hitting my mic device. I'm trying to figure out how not to. And I work my way up the torso with my padding. Rib cage. It gets the liver and gallbladder on one side, spleen and pancreas on the other. Just stimulating the chi flow, blood flow. Notice it's all happening from here. This shift and turn, keeping this open, is what stretches and opens everything. And then I work up under the shoulder and low back. In the back, I'm hitting right at the Ming Men here, which is right at L2, the back of the hand. Tailbone is pointing down, center line is open and relaxed. And I come over towards the center line, right underneath the collarbone, stimulating the thymus and the thyroid through the vibration of that padding, right in the center of the chest with my fingertips, solar plexus, all the way down to my lower abdomen, the Dantian and Ming Men again. And relax. Then I'm going to circulate the daimai. The daimai is this vessel that surrounds the waist. I want to keep the pelvis even. I'm going to move it horizontally in a circle. I don't want it to tilt or tip in any way. I want to keep it parallel to the ground, move it in a circle while I keep the middle dantian kind of consistently still. Now you're going to get some tilt, but we're trying to reduce that. And the other way. And then bring my awareness from the waist down to the ball and socket joints of the hips and inguinal fold. I'm going to open my feet a little bit more. I'm going to press down with one leg and pull this inguinal muscle open, trying to get that ball and socket joint to just feel like it pulls open a little. And then just rotate through that side, come back this side, pull this one open a little bit, rotate back, going back and forth. And the other way. Always with that little bit of gentle pressure and pulling to get that ball and socket joint to feel like it opens up. Now we should got the leg. We're going to pat the legs. So we'll just start with patting the legs. Unweighted. If it's weighted, it gets tight and that vibration doesn't penetrate as much. Unweighted, put your other weight on this, your weight on the other leg. Keep this one loose and just pat it. Around the knee, all the way down the legs. Friction, rub the knee a little bit. Switch sides. Unweight this side. Friction, rub the knee. Bring your feet together, keep them flat on the ground, support the kneecaps gently, and small circles, keeping the feet flat on the ground. And then reverse. Again, feet staying, I'm going to move back so you can see it. Feet stay flat on the ground. What I don't want to do when I come down is pick the heels up. I want to keep the feet flat on the ground. Keep the center line as upright as you can. Down and up. Notice I kind of look out and up a little bit. It helps me keep my spine long. Heels stay down. Shake out the legs. Shift into one leg. Whenever you're in one leg, you want to be soft and buoyant, never locked. Soft and buoyant. Other leg, ball of the foot touches the ground, heel up, and make little circles. And the other way. And rotating the foot and ankle. The other way. And brushing the grass. This is going to keep my foot parallel to the ground, just above the surface of the ground, as if I were brushing my foot on the surface of short grass, staying parallel to the ground, a small circle sort of out in front. And reverse direction. Then I'm going to come to the back, keeping the heel down. Notice I'm not picking my heel up like this. I'm extending it out and back. This activates the yang channels and extends the chi. Nice and long, makes me sink into this support leg. And then the other way. I come up. Turn to the side just simply because I don't want to kick anything over here. We're going to do some extension. So we bring the leg out and hold it out. This starts to develop strength and control. Then bring it out to the side and hold it out. And bring it back and hold it out. And I'll usually bring it through. Stretch the body long. Heel to the buttocks, knee down. And then I'm going to push my hip forward and pull my knee back. Stretching the iliopsoas. I come back out. Afraid to kick my things in my house. And around and back. Tricky here where I'm trying to change positions. Come back around. Rotate the hip open. Shake it out. Switch to the other side. Rotating ankle and hip. The other way. Foot and ankle. The other way. Foot out straight. Out to the side. I have to turn this way so I don't kick the screen. And back. Bring it through. Knee to the chest. Heel back. Push the hip through. Back out. And around. Like that. Yeah. Hopping to turn on that didn't work. Here I'm rotating the hip open and extending the knee out. I'm using my sacrum and my glutes to extend and rotate open. And shake it out. And we're just past 11. I'm just going to wrap it up real quick. A couple more things I like to do in my warm-up. I want to finish a good full warm-up for you guys. Next, I'm going to press the knees. This is one time I can lock my knees. I'm going to press my knees back Reach out, flatten the back. Extend down, keeping the back as flat as I can. Reaching out and extending long. Once I get here, I'll really work at every inhale. I extend my tailbone and top of my head away from each other, lift my sacrum and press my heels down. Every exhale, I release. And I turn, shift to one side, looking behind. Turn, shift to the other side, and look behind. And I'll reach now. Front hand reaches out to the side, back hand reaches back. Everything is long. I sweep. This is called two dragons circle the pond. Out long, long. Back to the center. Feet stay flat, heels stay down, and then drop into a squat stance. Opening up the hips, keeping the spine, trying to extend the spine long, keeping everything open and relaxed. To come up, I press up the legs into the low back and I roll the spine up from bottom to top. And I go right into a dragon spine where I'm going to treat my spine in like a serpentine fashion. Just watch as I come up. This is really good for spinal health. Very important for all the dragon style work that this system has. We add a little hand movements. For those of you that are familiar, you can add these in. If you're not, don't worry about it if you don't get the details. You will over time. Still doing that dragon spine as I do this. Then we go into palm stab as a dragon palm exercise. Caught on a wire. And then we do the dragon spine. Palms going the other way, first pushing out. And the palms stay up. And close. For today, that's our class. On Thursday, we'll be doing this again. I won't be doing as much instruction and all the little details. I'll probably do some. But I'm going to go on and doing the individual movements of the sort of really miniature form, the 8-move form that I have, and then we'll go from there. Thank you very much for joining me. Shasha. Again, my name is Jeff Cote. I am the Occidental Taoist. If you'd like to make a donation to help us continue to reach new places, new people, to grow our quality of tech that we have here, I'd love to get better gear as I go along. Go to my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/Occidental Taoist. You can make donations there at $5 per donation. It's got just a cap that you have to set. So a lot of my classes, that's how people do, is a $5 donation. So I figured that would be good. It is not required, and I certainly have no expectations from anybody. It's just, helps me stay afloat and keep doing this work. We're going to be doing some partnerships with people. Look for some announcements that I've got. I'm working with an organization for people with developmental disabilities to work some Qigong live streaming for them. And so I'll be announcing some of that as that comes up very soon. I've got my daily lunchtime lessons at noon in Qigong. That's a half-hour Qigong show. That's on my Facebook page. So tune in for that too if you feel like doing a little extra today. And I do that every day, Monday through Friday. This live stream will be every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 11, roughly. Obviously I went a little over. It's not uncommon. Anybody who goes to my classes knows sometimes I will stand a little long or will practice a little bit long. But if you ever have to go, you just go. Anyways, thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day. Have radiant health and a happy, peaceful heart. Thank you.